What's up, guys? Welcome to another deck profile. We have a face that we haven't seen on the channel in a while, so why don't you remind us who you are and tell us what deck you played.
Sorry you haven't seen me in a while. I've been really bad at Yu-Gi-Oh! For the last couple weeks. Took first place at locals this time, and playing what I believe to be the best deck in the room and in the format. Just like the namesake, we went EXO with X-OSisters.
X-OSisters, the man got the puns. Well, tell us a little bit about why you decided to play X-OSisters averse to like something like Tier or Splight in this format.
So, coming into Sneak Peek, I was 100% going for Sprite and Tier. I love playing Frogs, I wanted to play Sprite. I love playing mill decks, I wanted to play Tier. And then everybody at locals was looking for Tier and Sprite. I traded a guy for a Martha just so I could use it for trade bait. I found another Martha, and then one of my homies pulled the third Martha, so I ended up with Exosister. And now I love it. It is one of my favorite decks that I've played in a while, and I could not be happier with it.
All right, well, let's see this deck profile.
All right, so my ratios are going to be maybe a little controversial, but first up, 3 Martha. Obviously, this card is bonkers. This card is nuts. Special summons itself and Ellis from the hand, locks you into only Exosisters for the rest of the turn, for the whole turn. And then when either player moves a card out of the graveyard, you can one card Xyz summon. Unlike the others it has to be just your opponent. Obviously, best card in the deck. I top decked this way more times than I needed to today, and every time I top deck it, I absolutely won. 3 Stella, probably the second best one. Just lets you special summon any other Exosister from the hand. She can special summon herself. That also won me a game today. In fact, that won me finals today. And then if she has Ellis on board, you just draw a card. Or sorry, you gain 800. 3 Ellis, lets you special summon from the hand if you have any other Exosister. And then she does the same thing as all the others. If you have Stella on board, she gains 800. And then here I'm playing 3 Sophia. Most people play 2. I think 3 is correct if you're not playing the Magistus package. I cut the Magistus package. It was just a little too inconsistent for me. And I went back up to 3 Sophia. And so far, I've not had a problem with it. I think it's actually really good. I'll probably stick with this for the foreseeable future. 1 Irene, she's kind of the worst one. She comes up sometimes, but you want to have her just so you can play Pax and Vadis with Sophia. You can just get her out of the deck. The cycling for her is not as good as the cycling with Sophia because you have to return a card, and usually all your cards are really, really good in hand unless you've drawn multiples. So that's it for the Exosister monsters. Then we're on, of course, everybody's favorite card, 3D Shifter. I drew this twice, and each time I drew it, I completely won. Yeah, this card's really stupid, and you should play it.
Every format, there's a fluke player.
Every format, and there's a healthy discussion going around of people saying, well, you shouldn't play Shifter because it conflicts with your main goal. The reasoning behind it and the logic behind it, why I chose to play it, is because if I can use this to completely stun my opponent out turn 1 or to greatly reduce their resources, I can spend that time amassing my resources and still have my main goal as follow-up. So I think this is just too good not to play right now, especially with Tier and Sprite running around.
Yeah, because that just completely stops Tier Element, and it doesn't really stop Splight that much, but they can't get Toad back or Toad on board as easily. So
absolutely, it makes the Frogs almost completely useless, and it makes Tier pass in a lot of situations. The only other hand trap we were playing is 3 Ash. I was playing Crow before, but I found that I kept seeing Crow with Shifter, and Shifter is just the more impactful one. I cut it for more consistency, and I think Ash is just really, really good right now. Ash won me a couple of games today. I mean, it's Ash. And then onto the spells, we're playing 3 packs. Your best spell in the deck, it searches literally every card. It's a quick play, and sometimes it lets you special summon if you set it up correctly. So, very, very good. I'm playing 2 Arment. A lot of people only play this at 1, and I played it that way for a while, but this card is really, really good, and if you draw it, you're set up, and it's just extra fodder to get more plays on board and be more annoying. And if you have to search it, you usually already have your other really good cards on field. It's good for dodging negation, especially with Tier right now. You can use this to dodge a Dragostopelian negate. Really, really strong. I think 2 is correct. And a card that a lot of people don't like to play is one Carpe Divim. I think this is low-key one of the better cards in the deck. I search it very rarely, but every time that I saw this today, it won me the game, which I think was once. Neither player can target Exosister monsters with monsters ever special summoned from the graveyard. And once per turn, whenever I Xyz summon, I can declare any card name, negate its effects for the rest of the turn. So I can do that any turn, every turn, whenever I Xyz summon once per turn. And then, the part where it won me a game, if an attack is declared with your Exosister monster on field, you can just target a spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it. So, very, very good card. I'm going to keep playing one for now. It's definitely cuttable, but I wouldn't recommend it. And then, 3 Pot of Prosperity. I was playing Desires before today. I picked these up today, and I'm not going to go back. This card is insane. In finals, my opponent opened up a Predaplant guy to Fusion Summon, and I chained Shifter, and he just made Winda set 3 pass. I went evenly matched him. He just banished all the 3 and left the Winda up, and I had Stella, and another dead card in hand, and I Prosperitied, and the first card that I flipped off was Imperm, and if I hadn't seen that, I would have lost. So at the very least, I wouldn't have been able to play. So Prosperity won me a couple games today. It's absolutely insane. I have been convinced this card is worth it in this deck. And then 1 Called By. Of course, this card is nuts. It triggers Martha. That's really stupid, but also this card's just broken. 1 Triple Tech. I would like to play a little bit more, but I think 1 is okay. I've seen a couple of people playing just 1, and I think it's fine. You don't ever want to see multiples, and if you see 1, especially in this meta, chances are you're going to be able to activate it. So it's not necessary, but I do think that it's good even if you're just playing 1. And then some real sacky cards. I decided to play 1 D-Fissure and 1 Necro Valley. I didn't see either of them today. However, in testing, seeing D-Fissure instantly won me the game against Sprite. It just wins the game against Tier. It's the same thing as Shifter. Necro Valley, kind of the same thing. It completely shuts down Tier. It shuts down the Frog engine in Sprite. It's very, very good. And these are the same logic as D-Shifter. Yes, they kind of counteract your main goal. However, you are using them to stun your opponent out while you get your resources up. So I think that these are very much worth playing. And then onto the traps, I played 3 Vadis. Vadis lets you special summon 2 from the deck. It's extremely good. You can wait until your opponent activates a Terra Elements monster in grave to fusion summon, you chain this, and then you immediately get 2 activations. And they can't do anything about it. So, extremely good card. And then I went back to 3 Returnia. I was playing 2 because this one's the harder one to activate. However, I think that now that I'm playing a build that's more focused on consistency, I like 3 Returnia. There was one time I drew it when it was dead, but the next turn it was live and my opponent couldn't get rid of it, so it just won me the game. This card's insanely stupid. If you have Michaelis on board, if you have Magnifica on board, Magnifica plus Returnia represents 4 banishes on your opponent's turn, and that's absolutely insane. So, I think that this is probably correct to play at 3. Playing it at 2 is fine, but I think 3 is correct. And then last card in the deck, 3 Imperm. This card won me finals. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then on to the extra deck. I played... We'll go over the Exosisters first. I played 1 Jabreen. She's the negate, and she boosts for 800. She's very, very good. Some people play 2, and I kind of want to try out 2, but I'm not sure. I'm going to test it some more. 1 Asophiel. Asophiel is probably my favorite one. She locks out of grave effect for the rest of the turn, and then during my turn, I can just bounce a monster on the field. Very, very good. Also has the best artwork in the deck. Something else that I would consider playing 2 of, but I'm not sold on it. 3 Caspatel. Caspatel is really good. It stops your opponent, it stops both players from special summoning from the grave, and she lets you search a monster. You're typically making this turn 1. The special summon from grave isn't that relevant right now. Tier doesn't really special summon from grave. Sprite doesn't special summon from grave other than with their frogs, so, and with elf. But it's very good. I would probably cut this to 2 because I'm only playing 2 Michaelis. I have a 3rd one in the mail. It's coming, I swear, but you have to play this at 3. I lost a game last week because I only had 2 and I ran out of resources, but the 3rd one is coming. You should absolutely play 3 of this.
Where's the yours?
I got 1 CR coming in the mail, and then I'm going to be the Mismatch King.
Mismatch King.
And then we're playing 2 Magnifica. You don't need 3. This card does everything you could ever want and more. It's a non-targeting banish. It tags out for whatever you left underneath it. That gives you an Xyz summon so you can trigger the double banish on Returnia. This is a banish. If you tag it into Michaelis, it's a banish, and if you have Returnia, it's 4 banishes total. So, and she can attack twice, and she's 28. If you can set up her with activating Jabreen previous, and you have any other Exosister monster on board that's either Martha size or bigger, you have lethal. It's an OTK. And then onto the non-Exosisters. We played 1 Exciton. It did not come up, however, it has come up before. This card is great. I don't know if I'm going to keep it in, but it's good. I like it.
So what's your thought process on Exciton Knight versus like Zeus?
So my logic on Exciton specifically is that going second, this deck struggles a lot. And a lot of times things like Tier will just amass a whole lot of resources. Live Twin Sprite is what I'm having to play against in my local scene. Thanks, Jordan. And that deck ends on like 67 cards in hand with 5 monsters on board. So this is almost always live.
Hey, hand size is 7.
I mean, sure, but you're having 7 cards in hand with 5 cards on board, and I have 6 cards. You are going to get hit by this. It's very good. I don't know if it's necessary or mandatory, but it's good. And then 1 Baguska. I sided this in today. I didn't get to use it at all, but I think it's good. A lot of people just use it as plan B, and I think that that's what it should be used for. It's very good right now, but I didn't get to see it. Also, we are playing Zeus now. Ever since I cut the Magistus package, I think Zeus is just fine to slot in. I never used it, but it's probably good. The only thing is you can't summon at the turn you use Martha, so. And then we decided to play the Selene Access Code package. Again, I haven't pulled this off yet, but usually the deck doesn't need it. However, it just gives you more OTK potential, and that's really, really good. So if for some reason you find yourself in the situation to make this, 1, something probably went terribly wrong in your game because you haven't used Martha that turn. And 2, like, how did you even get to the point to where you could resolve a Lina, summon a Lina without using Martha, resolve a Lina, have 3 spells accounted for so you can use Selene, and then make an access code, all without using Martha. Also it outs Ibly. You just normal summon and make this. That's also good. And on to the side deck. Side deck is a little weird today, so I feel like I have some explaining to do. I played 1 Nib. Truth be told, this card kind of sucks right now. Sprite can never get nibbed. Tier, it's a shot up. It's a toss up with Tier because sometimes they'll put up a window on their board on their turn. Sometimes they won't. I cut this to 1 because I couldn't really choose what to play today, so I cut it to 1. I sided it in like twice and I never saw it. A card that I saw entirely too much was 3 Sphere Mode. I still think this is correct. I'm going to continue playing this in triplets. There was a game against Tier in round 2 where I drew 3 of this, 2 Stella, and Pax for my 6th card. My opponent went King of the Swamp, Search a Poly, Pass, and then I just made Magnifica and beat him. And then against Tier in finals, I also saw this, but it didn't matter because I had everything I needed. I never got to use it, but I know this card is good. I know it's good, and I mean, of course, it's better than Lava Golem in the deck because you can still use Martha. It's good. I like it. Then I put in 1 Duster. Again, I didn't get to use it. I sided it in once. Never got to use it, but I know this card's broken. I don't know if I'm going to keep it in. Triple Dark Ruler. This card won me 1 game, and it is very, very good. I was playing it in the main, and I still think that you should be playing Dark Ruler in the main, but today I went kind of greedy, and it worked out, so we'll continue to see if I want to put this back in the main or not. But if you lose the dice roll, you're kind of in big trouble, so make your own decision, but I think Dark Ruler should probably be in the main. Onto the traps, I played 2 Gozen. Never sided this in. Gozen's okay. It's good because all your stuff is light. However, Tier doesn't care about this because all their stuff except for Rhino Heart is dark. Sprite cares about this, but honestly, you've got a lot of tools to deal with Sprite. You've got a lot of tools to deal with Tier. I think this might get cut. I feel like I should be playing it in the main deck if I'm playing it at all. I just don't think it's as impactful as I want it to be personally.
I'm playing enough floodgates in the main deck. You don't need to add more.
It's just Shifter, bro. And my extra deck monsters. And Necro Valley. And Deep Fissure.
And Necro Valley. Hello.
The next one, this was a good tech that I really liked. Soul Drain. I only have 2 of it, but my logic behind this was it completely shuts down Tier. It shuts down Ronin Toadin. Like, this card is really, really, really good. Also, we have a Phantom Knights player at a locals. It shuts down Deer Note. Like, it's very good. And I was going between this and Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, but I ultimately settled on Soul Drain because I wanted to cover more matchups than just Tier. I never sighted it in. Sorry, actually, I sighted it in once. I didn't see it. So, still more testing to be done. And then, one of the cards that also won me some games, 3 Evenly. This card is stupid as hell. That's it.
The board breakers are insane this format. All right, well, thanks for the deck profile. Do you have anyone to shout out or anything like that?
Shout out everyone at my locals for taking up all the Tier Element and Sprite cards so that way I could play Exosister. Shout out to every waifu deck lover out there.
For Tier Elements too?
Yeah, except for that one.
Oh.
All right, well, thanks for the deck profile.